Chapter 27. J. Achievement. First voyage. Achievement. Savior. Oathkeeper level 2. Skill. Lesser leadership obtained. This is the captain? He looks like shit. Jacob rubbed the corner of his eyes, then opened them with a groan. His head was throbbing and his eyes were dry and lightly burned as the air hit them. Ugh. He squinted against the white overcast sky above him. Too bright. Leaning over him was a lightly tanned woman with black hair. She looked to be late 20s, early 30s, with just a hint of crow's feet extending from the corners of her no-nonsense eyes. The bright sun behind her bled through her edges, outlining her in light. Am I dreaming? As the dark-haired woman slightly narrowed her eyes, Manu laughed behind him somewhere. Bro, just woke up and already smooth talking. Take it easy, man. Jacob sat up and rubbed the bridge of his nose. Where is that missing? Jacob sat up and rubbed the bridge of his nose and then squinted his eyes hard before glancing around. The raft was in one piece and resting on a sandy beach bordered by the familiar tropical trees. We made it, he thought. Pulled up a little further on the beach next to a tree was an orange raft. Someone had erected a rudimentary lean-to over it and covered it with palm leaves. Oh, no. Poor baby. What have they done to you? A man with an Eastern European accent, Russian maybe, wearing a Hawaiian shirt, was bending over, inspecting something on the raft. He had stark white hair, mustache, and a thick beard. Maybe late 40s? Jacob watched for a moment as the man gently squeezed one of the vine lashings and then shook his head. Lou was on the beach doing some stretches. Ina was right behind Jacob, eyeing the new woman. No, I'm not a dream. I'm Jessica. She extended a tattooed arm and held out her hand. Jacob shook it. Nice to meet you, Jessica. I'm Jacob, the captain of this fine vessel you see before you. I'm here to rescue you. Jacob went to stand up and his foot caught on the wood and he started to slip off balance. Jessica immediately grabbed his shoulder to steady him as though she had been ready for him to fall. Easy there, Captain, she said with just a hint of mirth in her eyes. Maybe wake up a bit before you start rescuing us. Absolutely unacceptable. Is Captain finally up from his nappy? I must speak with him. The white-haired man approached. Hello? Yes, how do you do? Good morning. Now explain this. The man stepped outside the raft near Jacob and squeezed one of the vines a few times. He then held 2 fingers below it and raised it, then allowed gravity to pull it back down. He repeated this 3 times and then glared at him. Jessica groaned. Jacob was confused. Explain what? How he used vines as lashings for the raft? The man answered with a dismissive grunt. It's wilting! Look! He squeezed it again, then released. There is no way that is the baseline turgor. I have never seen this plant before, and even I can tell that. Jacob was a little taken aback by the man's energy level. It's dead. It's called an eater vine. We didn't have time to get anything better, so we used it for lashings. Dead? The man cocked his head to look directly into Jacob's eyes. You think a dead plant could do this? He squeezed the plant again. No thanks to you, it is still alive. And you should count yourself lucky, Captain. Otherwise, your little raft would fall to pieces. Jacob looked around for help. Lou didn't seem to be paying attention. Manu was trying to stifle a laugh, and Ina had a hand concealed behind her back and an uneasy look on her face. She was warily watching the man. It was Jessica that saved him. Sorry, Brennan has a thing for plants. A thing for plants? Jessica, I am a renowned botanist, and you will not diminish me. She groaned. Don't be an ass. At least introduce yourself. Yes. I am Dr. Menikov. Though my new friend refuses to use my title as I am not a medical doctor and insists on calling me Brennan. So I guess my PhD is meaningless. As Jessica jumped in. I do not sound like that. Brennan cut her off. Interrupting is rude. As I was saying, to avoid confusion, you may call me Brennan. It has grown on me. In any case, I ran Bayer Botany Lab number 5 and would still be there now if that rat, Boris, had not backstabbed me and made the board force me on vacation. Then Brennan dropped his voice to a whisper and cupped his mouth with one hand. He just wanted me out of the picture so he could run the lab. He then returned to his normal voice. But, joke's on him. I have already cataloged 58 new plants on this island never before witnessed. He paused and cocked his head to the side. 59 if you count your torture victim here. Okay, Jessica. Introductions are over now. Admonishment can continue, yes? Brennan's face suddenly got very serious and he furrowed his eyebrows. Jacob held up his hands in surrender. Look, Brennan, I honestly thought we had killed it. The word killed, Brennan started to look physically angry and loomed forward. Whoa. It was self-defense. All these came from the same monster. It almost ate me until Ina over there came and saved me. You expect me to believe this plant posed a danger to you? Well, it was huge, and the vines restrained me. When it pulled me close, the flower, the part we left there, had like this green saliva that paralyzed. Brennan's eyes went wide and wild. He reached out with his arm. Jacob thought he was going to hit him and flinched, but Brennan just pulled him close into a huddle and quieted his voice as though they were conspirators. Then, see it. You must tell me everything about this. How big was the flower? What was the density of the vines? This green saliva, did you ingest it, or was it just contact? What was the onset of action of the paralysis and the half-life? Oh, okay, Brennan, enough. Let Jacob breathe. I'm sure there will be plenty of time later for him to answer your questions. As Manu was saying, there is a danger here. Brennan grunted but stood up. Okay, I see you are not malicious, just ignorant. But I must insist that I be put in charge of overseeing the ether vines, you said? Yeah. And sure, you can take over the vine management. Brennan grunted and started to walk away. Terrible name, terrible. What do you think of... He had drifted into mumbling at the vines as he continued to inspect them. Jacob turned to Jessica. Okay, so there's you two. How many other survivors? Matt is in the raft. I'm his caregiver. I'm a nurse, by the way. His family had hired me to travel with him for their vacation. They didn't make it. He's got ALS. She saw Jacob's lack of understanding. He's paralyzed and can really only move his eyes. 1 blink is yes, 2 blinks is no. There's 3 more. One of the flight attendants named Marcia. She's the one that got the raft inflated. Then there's an older Asian guy called Nakamura, and Shen, a younger one. Nakamura is a bit of a bossy asshole, and Shen just does whatever he tells him to do. We arrived here the day after the crash. We decided to stay here and wait for rescue. We found a structure in the lagoon that appears to be maintained, so we were hoping someone would be by eventually. I told you, Jessica, we are not on Earth. You've seen the trees. I have showed you. Brennan shouted from the back of the raft. Jessica sighed. Brennan's convinced that some of the plants could never have evolved on Earth. She shook her head. He's actually right. She gave him a weird look. Jacob continued. Yeah, the structure in the lagoon was actually made by a race of fish people called Naga, which is why we need to get your people together and out of here. They attack humans. Jessica looked at him like he was crazy. Look, trust me, one of them gave me this. Jacob pointed to the slightly faded bruising on his head. Yeah, you don't have to convince me you got hit in the head. Bro, the island we were on had giant killer ants. Believe Jacob, Manu had spoken up. Look, where are the other three? When we get everyone together, we can explain in more detail. Jessica didn't look convinced. They went to the lagoon to bathe and gather fresh water. Ina coughed and her eyes went wide. The others are bathing in the lagoon? Ina looked incredulous. Jessica, we should probably go get them. Now. You all should introduce yourself to Matt before we go. I will stay here. What about Svetlana? She led them over to the bright orange emergency raft. Matt was a brown-haired young man. It was hard to place his age because he looked so small and frail, but his face placed him in his early 20s. He had been propped up sitting against the back of the raft with 2 logs on either side bracing him in place. A thin line of drool trickled down from the corner of his mouth. Jessica took a piece of cloth and bent over and wiped it for him. Matt, this is Captain Jacob and his crew. They were on the plane and are going to help us get out of here. They all introduced themselves, and Matt gave a slow blink. He says hi. All right, Matt, don't party too hard without us. Brennan will keep an eye out. She turned around to yell. Brennan, you better make sure none of the bees bother him. Yes, you think you need to instruct me on this? I would never let anything happen to young Matt. It's not my fault that in my pursuit of science, I discovered the tone that inflamed the song bees before the one that calmed them. When you all return, I will show you the tone that opens the flowers. Jacob saw Manu had found a large branch, presumably for self-defense. I need to go get my sword. Jacob ran back to get it. Wow, fancy, Jessica said when he returned. She looked surprised. Yeah, I definitely didn't steal this from a nice old man. It was a gift. Okay. Lead the way, Jessica. Hopefully the Naga don't show up. If they do, run.